All I know is that we're in a damn pandemic. How have I spent almost $3,500 in the last 24 hours?
$3,500. You have $3,500 money?
Yes.
Wow. Well, what did you spend it on?
Well, I'd get a new computer for one.
Why? Oh yeah, didn't it? No, it didn't crap out on you,
No, it ain't gonna
right?
crap out on me. Look, I'm
Did you
proactive.
sell the other one?
No, I just took it back to where I got it from. It was still brand new. It wasn't even 30 days old. I had just bought a new computer. I had to take it back and get an upgrade from that.
I cannot keep up with you.
Well, you don't DJ, you just twerk to what we do
That's
and and
right.
and get free shots. So
I
that right
miss
there.
those days.
Well, you seem to be having a good time on your TikTok.
I am, dude. And you see, they're trying to take it away from us. The freaking
Uh,
government is trying to take TikTok away.
You know what it's really about? It's about that they need to take it from some of these people who shouldn't be on TikTok. And so in order to make it fair, let's just take
No,
it from everybody. Let's just take it from everybody.
no,
You know what, man?
that is not.
Let's get this going because we're gonna have a guest
Let's
around
do it.
around around. We're gonna have a guest on the show in like 20 minutes so we can explore the cannabis space today. But as
Ooh.
always, we come into this show all kinds of ways. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the DJ Ekin podcast. Of course, I am DJ Ekin, the lovely Miss Brittany Gonzalez. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
I'm not bad. I
I,
mean, I'm looking cute. That's a good day.
oh well, that's a good day, I guess. You got your lips.
It's not every day.
But I know you. Believe me. I seen you at work in pajamas. So there you
I
go.
can
So
say that, not you.
yeah,
Like,
I'm I'm just saying. Like I've seen you at work, literally in pajama pants.
and I still look cute.
Like I've
Next
seen you.
question.
I have seen you with 8 toenails painted. Like I've literally seen you with 8 toenails painted. Like
No, you're right. You're so right. And that was on a good day for real because I did not care about that.
like
But now that I feel like I'm back home though, because like the Rona, it's not happening.
you my girl.
None
I
of
don't,
that.
I don't just judge you on all of that. You got a few more things going for you. You got a personality. I think that's all your real hair. I haven't seen you in a while, so next time I see you, I'll run a test on that. But there's
I
more to you than just making sure your nails and toes are done. There's more to you than that.
exactly.
Real quick because what I want to explore too. First of all, before we even go any further, is and you and I had this conversation with somebody, and then I had the conversation with someone else about exactly what the DJ Aiken podcast is, right? Like, what do we do here? Because I've been trying to think of a description to have people, just to describe us in a couple of sentences.
Right.
But what I have thought about here is a way to describe it. I haven't gotten the words all the way down, but you tell me if I'm on the right track here. Like
Okay.
we come from hip hop. Like, and I know me first. I definitely come from hip hop. You come from hip hop with a splash of reggaeton and salsa, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So but
Definitely a mix. Yeah.
but in the hip hop space or the hip hop culture, what has always happened, in my opinion, or how I was brought up in hip hop, is hip hop always told the story or told the stories of those who didn't figure that they had as much of a voice. You understand what I'm saying? and and
Okay.
and not totally spoke for them, but we weren't in the hip hop space. If you look at some of the older acts, and you may or may not know some of these names, Brittany, like the Public Enemies, the KRS Ones, the
Yeah.
the Eric B and Rakims, even going to the West Coast, right? You see, say NWA. As crazy as people thought that their music was, they spoke for a lot of people who didn't make the news every day, but they spoke about what was really going on their block. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and no subject was seemed like it was out of bounds. You understand what I'm saying? Because in hip hop, you think about what we do, we're associated with all kinds of things now, be it marketing, be it sports, be it what's going on in politics. Like hip hop has a voice in all of that, or in some way, if you're listening to the right artist, we're not afraid to be involved in that in any way. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that
Yeah.
when you're talking about us, I think anybody that's new here that wants to know we do, we may be in any of those spaces, but in a conversation that hopefully everyone feels like they can join in on. You know.
Yeah. I think it's definitely, it's also too, like, we're just having fun at the same time. Like, we're in quarantine too right now. We're in lockdown going through with everyone else.
Are
So
we are we
I
not
think it's
supposed to be going outside right now?
don't tell me you're out there with the Rona, just chilling, hanging out, and vibing. I don't understand it. You need to be inside.
I ain't just outside, just vibing. But I mean, I have my mask on. I ran some errands today. Look,
Oh,
I
that's
I have things
okay.
to do. I ain't in the clubs. Like I ain't in the clubs. Like everything I do, I try to keep social distancing. That type of thing.
Okay, that's okay. I'm cool with that. But I'm still not even getting out there. Like I haven't been to the beach, nothing. I'm not. Everything's. You see the ICU beds and all of that. Is like getting overcrowded or about to be at capacity, I should say. Over here, anyway. Over here in Southwest Florida, the hospitals are like crowded. I ain't trying to be over there.
Isn't that one of the biggest problems with this coronavirus though? Is that the hospitals can't handle the amount of people that if it gets out when it gets out of hand, is that there's not enough space in the hospitals for people to be taken care of.
We're on the way to being there, like legit. If we keep going, absolutely, that will be us, and it's already happening, like in the States. But here, like I don't know. Do you know what your hospitals are looking like?
It's happening in Tampa and a few places that they're on the brink of like we got some problems.
Yeah. So what?
But Brittany, but.
What is the but? Don't tell me don't tell me but. There's this really cool spot.
No.
I think it's lit. What?
No, there's nothing about a spot that's lit. Over in Bradenton, Florida, because Florida, we always got a solution.
What?
We always got a solution. Over in Bradenton, Florida, which is like, I would say an hour from me, probably like two and a half hours from you. Right? Not even an hour from me, like 40, 45 minutes. Depends on traffic, right? Bradenton's like two hours from you. Like it's just before you get to St. Pete, Florida. Listen to this when I read it to you. And we're going to get more into the show, but as long as we're on coronavirus and the things that are going on, federal agencies, hazmat crews respond to Florida church selling COVID-19 miracle solution.
Stop!
Brittany, what's wrong with your people? Brittany, look. Multiple agencies were called to the Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing in Bradenton, Florida, in connection with search warrants and a federal order involving a concoction that the church has been selling as an alleged treatment for the novel coronavirus.
Okay, I need to know what is in this. This is so great. I cannot believe this is real. And the fact that it comes from us is even greater. Go on.
Well, I don't know all of what's in it, but what was seized by the crew is they found 50 gallons of muriatic acid, 22 gallons of finished miracle mineral solution, and 8,300 pounds of sodium chloride.
Wait, what is muriatic? What was it?
Muriatic acid. 50 gallons of that. That don't even sound like.
That?
I don't know, but it don't sound like that I should be taking, right? It don't.
Keyword acid.
Right. Now get this.
Dude, this. Okay.
Court documents obtained, and this is a story from ABC7, show that a federal judge ordered that all websites selling the goods be immediately removed from the internet and that all supplies involved in the creation of the miracle mineral solution be confiscated and destroyed. The order also prohibited the creation of future websites to market the product. Now, you know what really gets me about this? This is a church. This is a church. Like, ain't we supposed to be able to just, like seriously, just off the top, without anything else being involved? Ain't we supposed to be able to trust the church?
Trust the church, pray. I feel like that's a strong, a big weapon that the church has is to use prayer. So I'm confused at why they thought they needed to make a concoction of something. Like, stick to your prayer, because that's where you're strongest at when it comes to the
obviously they strong in the pockets, because they probably been making, if they making that much of the miracle cure, of the miracle concoction, if they make it, look, I love this name too, the miracle mineral solution. That sounds like something that late at night at like 3:45 a.m. when everything else done gone off and I don't feel like watching Don Lemon anymore, or I don't feel like watching Forensic Files, I turn and it goes, before it comes on, the real station goes, the opinions expressed by this next advertiser or person are not the opinions of NBC, right? And then a phone number comes, and then that dude come on and he's slapping a few people in the forehead and throwing all kinds of too much water on people and talk about, let me tell you something, Rona. Let me tell you something, Rona.
Yes, that's what you would think. Ekin, I don't like the fact that you can just buy the solution, the miracle solution at Lowe's. Like, what? How is Lowe's? How is that going to be one of the? Yes, that's where you buy this muriatic acid.
Well, that ain't buying the whole solution. You got to go over to the church though to get them to put it together.
No, but that's what I'm saying. The fact that the church went to Lowe's and was like, all right, we need some urea. Where else did they go? Ekin, I'm more concerned about why they thought they had to. Who gave them this recipe?
No, you concerned. Here's what I'm more concerned about. outside of maybe that little food truck that we see outside of Lowe's and Home Depot, what do they sell in there that you would even want to put in your body? Like, what do they sell in Lowe's or Home Depot that you should want to put in your body? Now let's just start there, Brittany. Like, I ain't talking. Like, I know sometimes I go to Home Depot. Right, there's a lady outside the one that's close to my house. She got a little hot dog and sausage.
There's some pretzels or like those cinnamon.
There you go. Right, but once you go in those doors, right? Okay, they do have those little fridges by the register where you buy a Red Bull. I think I've seen some candy sometimes, maybe.
But a drink you'll find at any other store that you'll see the same drinks in there for beverage.
So what make you go down one of those aisles though and find anything that someone should want to put in their body?
I cannot. This was in Bradenton. Okay, how many people bought this? How much did the profit? What were they selling it for? What did you say?
It doesn't say that. It does. I don't have that part in this article. Oh wait. Well, I guess I could have read the whole the court documents, but I don't really get it too deep in the court documents. I just don't, because I feel like we got to keep moving. But again, let's go back to the part of anybody. If anybody out there is going in Home Depot and going down any of those aisles to find something to put in their body, I got an issue with that. I do.
For real. And you need to go to a new church after that. I'm sorry. That's like what do you call it when it's like you're hard out.
Well, I don't know. But first of all, with the church named Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing, that right there sound like the dude that sound like right there that the dude that's the preacher, he don't even wear a tie. He don't got a collar. You know what? Let me tell you something right now. When your church's name is that right there, I guarantee that dude wear a polo.
Yeah.
I guarantee that dude wearing a polo. He's either wearing a polo or it's like Come As You Are, and you look up there and he got on a t-shirt that say God Saves or something like that. Like he got on that kind of, like he ain't got on nothing that you look up there and say, my reverend got on a suit. My reverend, he's got on, like he got the handkerchief that he keeping himself because he's sweating. That dude is wearing a polo.
No, you're right. He is not breaking the sweat because definitely not. He's over there making solutions in the back with some mineral. He heard the word mineral and was like, we need to throw that in there. Mineral acid.
Matter of fact, I'm starting to think that a lot of people in the church is coming right from the club the night before.
No, you know
Brittany, what? Let me tell you something, Brittany. When your pastor wears a polo, you know that the messaging, and I bet they got an Instagram page, and I bet the Instagram page is popping. I bet it's not even. I bet all it is like the mineral solution that can cure COVID for one. They popping off that. Every post probably got link in our bio. Every post got link in bio.
And always ask you for donations to swipe up to give.
Exactly.
Are they doing that on Instagram yet? Oh my goodness! If they do that,
you do that already. All you got to do all you got to do is put swipe up, right, and then you make it go to wherever link you going to. Is that for your OnlyFans page?
Who's got an OnlyFans?
I don't know why you asked about a link to donate.
I'm not on there yet. I'm not on there yet. The Rona has not gotten real for me yet.
Brittany, you asked about a link. So what would you need donations for? What do you need donations for?
Oh, to help other people.
I'm gonna need an example.
Give back to the community.
To back it up, give back. Back it up, to
give back.
Give us an example. Brittany, we are family here. I need an example of what you want to give back.
No, I would probably do groceries for people. I would get groceries for people.
That's
couple snack, bag of chips and salsa. Do a little chips and salsa for everyone during the Rona.
That's starting to sound a lot like just a page for you. That's not like a page for other people who who might need some help. Because I mean, look, and this is probably bad too. I don't ever want to be homeless, so I'm gonna keep working and try my best not to be homeless.
Please, because I cannot. I don't have an extra bedroom. I don't.
But is it bad that I'd be offended if somebody gave me chips and salsa if I'm homeless?
Why? Because you probably don't have teeth.
Girl, let me tell you something. Even if I'm homeless, you know what I'm gonna always be doing? They're gonna be like, how that dude always out? I'm gonna be brushing, Brittany.
You
I'm
are.
gonna find a way to be brushing, Brittany.
Dude, you are always gonna have toothpaste on you. I know you're gonna be that homeless man walking around with a cart, because I know you're gonna have the cart full of stuff. You're gonna have your Jordans in there. You're gonna have your sneakers. You're still a sneakerhead. You still kept a few from the house that you lost.
Exactly. And I still keep them clean no matter where I'm sleeping at. I got the rainy day ones. And even on days when the weather's bad, they be like, yo, that dude got like plastic around his shoes. I'm gonna be walking in those plastic boots around my Jordans. Just because you homeless, you ain't got to go. Look, you ain't got to go all the way to the left. I'm ready. I'm not ready to be homeless. I'm just saying, like if times get that bad and I can, I don't look. That's a story. Look, Brittany, what I want to do today too is I want to if you don't mind, I thought today's show could be really, because you missed the last show, and I thought the last show would have really been a great chance for you to meet Tony, because I think that you would have had some great questions for her as well, especially talking about the job in corporate America. So what I did, and I'm hoping that you'll approve it, like I made Tony a friend of the show, which means that she can come back at any time and she'll be able to talk. But today, I would like to, if we can get Jason probably can, like Jason can hear us. If Jason could make the dial right now, I want to explore today the cannabis space. And and I thought that today would be really dope. You know how we've been fortunate enough to have some really dope guests as of late. And today, like, we're gonna talk to my guy Bill Allonce. He's the CMO at HItit Company, right?
HItit?
Yeah, HItit Company, and he is very, very much into the cannabis space. Bill, are you already there, Bill?
Yes, I am.
Oh, see, there you go. Look, my guy, Bill Allonce, and Brittany Gonzalez, my co-host here. I was telling her, like, when I talked to you yesterday, Bill, and I was like, I think Brittany's gonna really enjoy you being on the show today, because first of all, Brittany has been telling me for a while that sometimes I'm overly hyper and that maybe I need to partake to kind of calm down sometimes. But I don't really venture there. But I feel like this is a lot of her space. So I feel like, I always want to do something for her to show her that I care. So I figured talking to you today would be a really great thing, man. So how you doing, man? And you're out in LA, right? You're in LA.
That's correct. Yeah. So I'm in Los Angeles, and I have I'm a cultivator and a distributor in the state of California. I have a 35,000 square foot distribution facility in Alonso, California, which is right by Victorville.
Right.
I believe I sent some images and videos of my facility yesterday. I'm here now. It's pretty good. I'm a Black-owned business. Just making change happen in this cannabis space, since we are rigorously disproportioned and penalized to being in this cannabis space. So I'm very honored to be on this call.
Right. And you know what? No, I'm just as honored to have you here. Before we even get into like what you're doing and how you got into the space and that sort of thing, I do want to touch on this point before we get too deep into it, because we all know this, right? It wasn't long ago that the cannabis space, it wasn't legal, and we got so many people of Black and brown ethnicity that are locked up for this very thing that has suddenly become this legal thing that folks are making a bunch of money off of. Is there any kind of talk about or legislation in the works, or to where now that it's becoming legal in so many places? And again, I don't know all the particulars. You may I'm pretty sure you know much more about this than I do. I just want to ask the question about maybe reducing sentences or getting those people out, or that sort of thing, because it just kind of feels, is unfair the word I'm looking for, Brittany? It kind of feels unfair to me.
Yeah, for sure. It's weird. It's like there's two different laws living in at the same time. It's like confusing.
Right. So is there legislation in place, Bill, or are they working on something to where some of those people would get?
Yeah, so that's a great answer. That's a great question. That's a great ask. So there's a two-part way that this happening. So in the 12 to 13 states that are recreational and medicinal for cannabis usage, like California State, Washington State, they've actually overturned tens of thousands of cannabis convictions that happened pre-cannabis being legalized for people of color like ourselves. So, the legislation is on the nationwide. It's not federalized just yet, so that's going to just take some time. However, with the states that are properly regulated, they're just not even reducing the sentences. They're taking those convictions and wiping them off the record, because it doesn't make sense for someone who got arrested for, driving or carrying a few pounds or a few ounces, and next thing you know, they're doing a year or two. When, you look on TV, on daytime TV, and you get white soccer moms saying that they need to smoke cannabis to help them deal with their 3 kids. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy. You now before you got into this, because you and I met a while back, you were kind of in the entertainment, and you heavy in the digital space. Can we get a little bit of your history before I move into how you found your way into the cannabis space? Because you've been around some things with some songwriters and heavy DJs and really into this entertainment space before you got over there. So can you give us a little bit of your history too?
Sure. So I got we connected through a very good mutual friend of ours named Rashad Tyler, who a little over 10 years ago was managing a singer-songwriter out of Atlanta, Florida called Kevin Cosson. So when KC got signed through a publishing deal, singer-songwriter, then got signed as an artist deal through RCA, which then merged into Jive Records. We all came into that umbrella, into the mix. So I was working with KC through Rashad and Danger and everyone else through that clique, and we landed some phenomenal records, like Take It to the Head, Body to Body. I love Kevin just won a Grammy for the Higher record that with Nipsey, DJ Khaled, and John Legend, which he wrote the hook that John Legend was singing. About 85% of the songs that you heard hook-wise of Chris Brown, KC wrote. So it was good just to be a part of that kind of like that mix. From there, out of Jacksonville, Florida, there was a DJ named Q45 who had a show on BT Rap City, who was working as a DJ for KC. And, when KC would do his media runs in New York, they would hit me up to show them around and do their thing. So Q45, who was at Hot 97 when I was had KC interviewed with DJ Enough and, 98.7 Kiss FM and all that jazz. And they, Q45 took a liking to me. Him and I, we came to an understanding at this time. And from that point on, he wanted to get out of the southern belt of Jacksonville, Florida. So I ended up taking him globally. So I took him international. I took him to Dubai, France, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Europe, Asia, you name it. And that was a nice kinship and a partnership for the short time it lasted, give or take about 2 years. And from there, all the money that I made within the entertainment space being around, notable people. And the bottom denominator is if I make them money, I make money. So everybody fucks with each other. I just kept my relationships intact, cultivated it, could continue to grow them. And from that point on, I learned a little bit more about cannabis being legal in the state of California. And I've, just positioned and transitioned into doing that now for several years. And it's been a blessing.
Right.
So when you I was wondering, okay, so you have this, is it a facility? Because I imagine it's this open field of just beautiful flower everywhere. And it's like everybody's having a good time. Everybody's kind of chilling, what is it?
Work. It's a facility.
I don't like that.
If you don't mind, I sent you some stuff so you can send it over and you can post that. That's cool with me.
Yeah.
So it's a facility. So I have 10 rooms on the first floor, 2 rooms on the second. It's gated, indoor compound.
Does it smell like smoke, not smoke, but flower throughout? Like when you could smell it miles away? Is it kind of like that? Dang.
No, so you can't smell it miles. You can't smell it miles away. So that's a myth. Don't believe the hype on that. But you can smell it every time you open the door and you go in the room. And every room has to be moisturized in temperature because you want to make sure it doesn't yield any mold or any type of leaf bugs or anything of that sort. So the myth of having a scent that can gravitate you like a cartoon to a pie. Yeah, that's not the case. It's just a regular business format. Every room has has a yield. It's different stages for each flower.
Right.
And from seed to sale, it takes anywhere between 16 to 20 weeks. So it's a process. It's a process like any other business.
When we're talking this space, right? Because by me not being I'm not a weed smoker. I know something about the space, but not really a lot about the space. So for someone who's totally unfamiliar with the space, right? So there's what you do, right? And then also there's the space that you're in, and again, I'm playing completely. I know nothing about this space. You understand what I'm saying? So when I see things like the CBD space or CBD and then what you're doing, is there a what's the difference in that space, or are you dealing in all that space? Is that like one thing? Do you understand my question?
No, I understand your question. So the CBD space is anything that's under 0.03 THC.
Gotcha.
So CBD is federalized. Like you can ship CBD from California to Florida.
Okay.
You can buy CBD and hemp anywhere, from CVS to supermarkets to your Kroger's, your Publix. There's CBD products. There's CBD dog treats. CBD is now like a global commercialized thing. It's kind of like when the internet first came out, everybody wants to get on that wave. That's the CBD wave now.
Right.
Now, with what I do and as a grower, an indoor grower, I make sure my THC levels are over 30%. So I also grow the Runts strain similar to that. I grow high-end OGs, high-end exotics. So all of my THC levels have a certain type of criteria where it's just for the high-end cannabis smokers. So my stuff is only licensed in the state of California, and it's not regulated to CBD requirements. It's a completely different space. It's kind of like CBD in a sense is like a Toyota, and I'm the Rolls Royce, I'm the Ferrari of cannabis strains with what I got going on here.
Brittany's trying to book a flight right at this second, right now. Like she's trying to book a flight.
Send the Addy. Send the pinpoint. No.
So how hard was it to get in this space? Because again, like I said, and the reason I'm playing like someone who totally knows nothing is because I think a lot of people listen to these things, right? And if you're like I was at first, I'm hearing all around me CBD this, CBD that. See, you can get, and like I'm walking through the city and it's like CBD, and I'm like, they just throwing these up anywhere. So how hard is it to get into that space? And then now listening to you, you're in a totally different space, and being a black man in that space. So how many steps is there before you could even get in that space? Because I know once you decided, there's
right.
Get in there where you can say, okay, I want to be doing this, because I'm sure they're not just letting anybody in. I'm sure it's almost a fight to get in because of the amount of money. And when anything to me of that nature that can be of that grand of a scale, a lot of people are already in and trying to lock it up. So how hard was it for you to get in, and what did it take for you to get in?
Well, that's a fact. That's a super fact. So to answer your first question, it's a two-part question. So with the CBD space, how hard is it to get into that? It's fairly easier to get into the CBD space rather than to get into the cannabis cultivation and distribution space. And the reason why is it's the rules and regulations nationwide are much more loosened, and it's you're easily able to facilitate getting yourself into that kind of marketplace. To get into the CBD space, you basically just need to have a provisional patent on your packaging, your ideas, your marketing plan, your marketing campaign, and as well as your chemicals as the formula that you have for your particular CBD strain. Once you get that approved or pending patent, you can go into market. It's that simple. It's all who's going to be the face of the company, and then they can use their network to then bring it into to the marketplace, into retail stores. So that's the CBD space.
Right.
The cannabis space is a completely different beast. And the reason for that is automatically, if you're interested in just applying for a permit, it's a $30,000 non-refundable application fee.
Wow.
So off the bat, if you
Non-refundable?
want to be serious, you have to have $30,000 non-refundable and a certified check, non-refundable application just to submit your application. Now, another part of your question is how hard is it for a black man to get into the cannabis space? I would say it was ridiculously hard, because there were so many different loopholes and barriers that I had to overcome, once they saw my face and once they saw what I was about. Now, there's so many different nuances and variances that I can provide. The best one that I can say is how it benefited me is partnerships. So I partnered with attorneys who didn't look like me. However, they represented me and we were on the same team with the same aligned vision of going towards the same goal. And then of course they were a different ethnicity and a different race, which made it easier for me to be in the rooms when it was time, when the ink dried on the piece of paper.
Right.
So how hard was it for me? It was ridiculously hard, to the point where I believe I got shut down at least 6 to 7 times until I figured out the game. I'm like, if I partner with one person and I partner with another person and they take care of it and I still do I stay in my lane and do my job, it works in everyone's favor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think Brittany's still stuck on the fact, and this is something too that lets you know, to me, in my opinion, how you're saying I'm going to cut off the type of people that I want in this business when you say $30,000 non-refundable check. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's almost like saying, yeah, well, we can just cut out a lot of people right here.
Right.
I'll even add it to this point. There's also something that they have called an LOE in the state of California, meaning a letter of explanation, and that you basically have to write as a Black man and get it notarized by the state of California to say, hey, I want to get a delivery service, right? So just a random example. To want to get a delivery service as a Black man or woman or person of color, they ask sometimes a large percentage of the times for an LOE and have it notarized for someone either in your immediate family or that was close to you growing up, who's either been incarcerated, affected by drug usage, or one of your siblings has either been incarcerated. Someone that is just a weird, different type of loophole. And it's just like all of these steps and processes are in place. I wholeheartedly feel are in place for us not to be in the decision-making factor seat. The only times you go to dispensaries and you see a person of color, a Latino or Black person, they're either a bud tender or a security guard.
Mm-hmm.
We're now flipping the switch on that. We're the decision makers. We are actually in the rooms to make change. We're making that type of progress. And, it's happening also on a, not just a statewide, but in different states that are actually having the opportunities of opening up a dispensary.
Right. Do you know how many states off the top are open and legalizing the business that you're in? How many is it? It's not every state yet, is it? It's not every state in the
there's up to 13 states.
So we still got a long ways to go.
Detroit
I
just got one.
know.
Massachusetts is recreational, so they're getting ready to boogie. New Hampshire as well. So Oklahoma is in a good space. Austin, Texas, they're doing really well. Certain parts of Texas are definitely not. So it's a small marketplace of how many there are even for recreational and medicinal. Like New Jersey is good for medicinal. However, New Jersey has very restrictions on laws. If you're caught with a certain amount, then it's automatically a misdemeanor or a felony. They're literally just going to throw you the book.
Oh, wow.
It's so different everywhere. It's like, oh, man, that's frustrating. But okay, so do you only do flower with your business? Or do you have edibles?
Yes, I do. So I have a Series 3, so I only do flower. However, there's also a Series 7 license that does edibles. So I sell my flower as a white label, and I can transfer it into edibles with another company. And they basically just, my company's name is going to be on the package.
That's what Ekin needs. He needs the edibles.
This is about...
I'm concerned. He needs that.
You see, Bill, I warned you where this conversation would go. Whereas I would be trying to learn. She'd be worrying about how she can get some pleasure out of this whole situation.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. That's called having a good friend. That's called having a good friend, bro.
So when we're talking, and again, you and I, Bill, we talk a lot of these things about, about where a space for people who look like us to get in. What's the percentage of, we're talking 13 states, but what's the percentage of minorities that are involved in this from the side that you're in? To me, I'm talking ownership now. Like the things I want to talk about on the pod now are, how we can get, like you said, a seat at the table or our own table. What's the percentage of the people that are in your position in this business right now?
I don't have a hard number to that to scale to, but I would only guesstimate and say that it's under 10% in the complete total population. And having a conversation with anything outside of ownership is goofy to me. Like that
Right.
doesn't make any sense with the climax and especially with all of the social injustice and everything else that's being televised and broadcast. So if we're not talking about, even if it's a 33% split, that's just goofy to me. So, with my guesstimation, it would be, under 10% in a total landscape. Because now what's happening is you're having big pharma, similar to like P&G, Procter & Gamble, and they're coming in and they're purchasing, cash and carry, cultivation and distribution centers, and they're evaluating them at, times 5%. So let's just say there's a company, one cultivator, they're doing $20 million. They're giving them anywhere between 100 to 20 to $100 million to overtake their facility, because they know with that evaluation, they can pump so much more out, because what they'll do is they'll also outsource inventory and continue to grow. So,
but that's bad, right? That's bad when they try to buy them out like that, because what are they trying to do with it? Like, just make their own money?
That's it. And, and it's just, big pharma is going to come in and take all of that. I don't necessarily say it's sad. It's just more so it has to be, just mentally prepare yourself for that type of business structure and forecast your mind to know that these times are going to come. Like where we are now, it's kind of like where the internet just happened. Everyone's making the killing right now, especially because of COVID. So everyone's product and cultivation, they're selling out in a matter of a month.
Right.
I put it in hard numbers. Today alone, I have orders for over $185,000, and it's only 1:00 in the afternoon in California. So we're pumping out so much inventory because there's such a landscape of this lane wanting to happen. And plus, I think parents need to smoke to light their kids a little bit more.
They do. And it ain't even just parents. You don't have to have kids to be stressed. Sometimes other people's kids make me stressed, So I get it. They need it. They need all of it.
Brittany, look, what we'll do in a later conversation is figure out how one day you can take a trip to visit. Maybe you'll go out there for us and actually tour the facility and get us some, build us some content that way. Because it seems like to me that in the back of your mind, this is really all about how you have met a very good friend and be like, when I go to California, that's what it seems like it's happening to me.
I do a yearly trip, so no. No, but yeah.
You're good. Just let me know when you touch down. I got you.
Oh my God, Bill! When we're talking, one of the things I like to explore too. When we're talking the background, right, and the things that got you here, right, and this is obviously to me a heavy numbers operation, a heavy forecasting operation. How important was your background in this? Like, because I know your background is deep in the digital space, deep in knowing numbers, as well as something that I think is even more important that you didn't tell me, but I know about you, is your cultivation of relationships. How important has all that upbringing up until now, your experiences, even in the music business, helped you in this space?
I come from the grooming of, like Kenny Burns, the lifestyle specialist. I have a lot of my relationship and my guidance from him. So I come from that cloth.
Right.
And it's also, the relationship factor is important, but, common sense is not that common. So being especially in the entertainment industry with the cannabis space, it's just having that sense of street knowledge and just understanding that, someone says one thing, they can mean something different. So I just you got to operate in that gray mindset space sometimes and just understand the surroundings that we're in. To answer your question in full, it's really just about just doing transparent business. So
right.
I've been blessed to never have my moral compass questioned, I feel. Because the moment I feel if anyone in any type of relationship, their moral compass is questioned, then anything else that happened prior to that will also then in fact be questioned. So, it's really just about doing good business. It's a small community, big world, such a small community. And anywhere you go, your name is more valuable than the actual currency that you're receiving.
Right.
So because of my relationships in entertainment, it was so easy and pivotal for me to make that switch into cannabis, which, I can call upon any of my colleagues and be like, hey, if you have a studio session, just think about me and I'll pull up. And then that intertwines into such a larger scale to doing a marketing or partnership deal in the cannabis space or within the financial space. They mirror each other hand in hand. And I think that's vitally important in any type of professional landscape that anyone is going to be in.
I love that.
You know, relationships are the key, Brittany. You know that's come on. Like
I know,
that,
but it's also like
relationships
the execution of it, you know, how you make that happen is also like can be difficult for some people. So it's nice to hear like, all right, well, you know what, I pulled up. I let them know. I reached out to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think a lot of people, it's hard because you think that, oh, if you have something great or, you know, of your own product or whatever it is, you think that other people should just get it and know it and want it, you know, and that's not the case always.
right.
So,
You know, one of the key indicators that I can say is I like to make sure I show people a good time. So whenever someone comes in town, I host them. I'll put this on my kid's life. In the past 5-6 years, I don't even remember anyone paying for dinner. Because I want to make sure one thing that someone will never forget is they're never going to forget the way that you made them feel.
Right.
Now, it's always a plus, I feel, just to put that type of groundwork in. And if they mean something to you, just do something to show your appreciation. Don't do something to want to get something in return. Just do it because you rock with them. Those are your peoples, right? That's your guy, that's your girl.
Right.
And it's just those little things that just can get turned up and may potentially or may not potentially lead to a business opportunity because they like you as a human being and they want to see you succeed as a human. So it's kind of it mirrors each other. It goes hand in hand. I feel.
You see, it all cultivates into something. Go ahead, Brittany.
Yeah.
I know you got full of questions over there.
But this was back to your attorneys that you said that you linked up with. Like, you know, I feel like those relationships, you have to be very trusting in them. Like, how did you decide, all right, these are the attorneys I want to go with? Because they are going to say the same thing that they want, you know what I mean? So when you, whatever it is that you need, but how do you figure that part out? Choosing the right partner.
That was more so like just shooting I was just shooting a shot. All I was doing was just shooting my shot. I was getting declined so many times. I put up the 30 grand. I was losing. And at that point, I contacted one of my attorneys who knew of another attorney. And I was just like, hey, this is my problem. You know, you can look me in the whites of my eyes. Let's see if this could work out. Are you interested? And he looked it over. He thought about it. And it worked in my favor. Now, you know, sometimes it doesn't happen that way all the time. But in this instance, it worked in my benefit. And I'm very, very, very thankful for that because things like that just typically don't happen. It just really, it's not normal. And and this goes back to reputation. If someone co-signs you to introduce you to someone else and your reputation is good, then they're going to know that you're a serious person and you mean business. And within that space, I meant business, and I had an issue, and we parted, and we came up to an agreement, and here we are.
What, can we talk about what I know a lot of people want to know and they're curious about? What's the money like in this space? Because you can't remember. I know you. Like you in the digital space, I know it's pretty lucrative. In the entertainment space, I know it can be pretty lucrative. So for you to shift and say, you know what? These spaces are cool. And I know you're still in the digital space a lot because it has to do with your business as well. But for you to say, you know what, the entertainment space, not so much. And like I said, I know you've been in some pretty heavy circles. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like you were, you know, even telling us in the beginning, when you start getting in that songwriter producer space, that's where the money really is. Not so much of just, hey, I was in front of the camera, but you know, that money's in the publishing and that sort of thing. And you were moving around that space and of course starting to manage some people that were moving a little bit. So when you talk this move, what do because you know, again, you hear all kinds of stories how much money can be made with this, how much money can be made with that. What is realistically the income difference, or you know, what does the money look like when you're in your position of, you know, being somebody that's actually at the table, you know, with something like this?
I would say I don't want to put a target on my back and make myself famous.
Right.
So you know, before I answer your question, it's vitally important to have something what I call the Five Horsemen. And what I mean by the Five Horsemen are, you have a banker, an accountant, and a financial advisor, a lawyer, and your insurance documents are all intact. Now, when you have all that in play, in the cannabis space, you can do anywhere between $100 to $500 million. annually.
I was gonna say, are we talking yearly? But you cleared that up just now.
Yeah, that's all you need
Right,
is
so-
1 year of that. 1 year of that, I'm good.
Well, that's also it's not net. It's not net.
No,
That's
yeah.
gross, because the tax in the cannabis space are a minimum
Look.
36.5%.
Right.
So off the bat, just at 40% of your taxes is your funding is gonna go to taxes just to maintain cost of operation. And then
Got
you also have your utilities, your cost of goods, your COGS. You have your utilities, your employees, insurance, your mortgage and your land, your electricity, all that stuff. And that's a hefty note every month. So just think about it in that aspect. It is a business. It's very lucrative. Just think about it in a full spectrum kind of sense.
I just feel like
again,
I can make 50K go a long way. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
I don't need that much.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was making a joke.
She was talking about it. She could just take 50K and make it go a long way. And I told you before we got you here, I told you how this would go. I told you she was just going to be excited to hear these conversations and this info you were going to give her, about, like I said, because she's been preaching to me for the longest time how to relax and that this would be a great thing to help me relax. So it's been her thing, just not from this space of where you're sitting at, of like at the table and running a business. Somebody told me a while back, though, that as this thing expands, one of the most important pieces is if you own like land. Could that help you in this space? Like if you own, like say one of the states that they haven't been in, right? Like say actually this person I was talking to, we were talking about Florida, and I'm not sure if we were talking about what you're doing, but maybe even the CBD space or something was going. But she was talking about it was a guy that she knew that owned a bunch of land, and that was one of the, if you own land, that could be a big help for you in this space. Is that true, or is that just a rumor I'm hearing? That's like, if you want to get in this space and you have land.
It's a super fact. Whatever you do, if you can hold yourself into some land,
right,
and that you hold on to it and pay that note, which is basically going to be, if you purchase anywhere between 8 to 10 acres of land, it's going to cost you the amount of your AT&T phone bill or your car insurance. It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
It's just, I want to just teach that to anyone. Now, the build out to build the cultivation facility on top of it, that's the moneymaker. That's the hard part. The land is the easiest aspect, because you can get a VC, a venture capitalist, to come in, buy you out for the land that you potentially hypothetically have, pay you above market value, because they already know in a year's time they're going to make a killing off of that. They're going to rape anybody who gets into that space.
Right.
So I would say get into buying as much land as possible, because what will happen is, it's happening already. There's 33 states that are medicinal. There's 13 states that are recreational. So what will continuously happen is the rest of the other states are going to slowly follow in suit, because they see the amount of revenue that's coming in from cannabis.
Yeah.
And the arrests are going to go, and all of the warrants and anything else that you can think of to arrest people of color is going to go away. And they're just going to put money in these Republicans' pockets or anyone else's pockets. So to answer your question, with land, does that help? It 100% helps. There's people purchasing land in Oklahoma by the bulk, because they know that it's going to make a shift in the next 5 years or so.
Wow.
That's just an example, man. Yeah, just if you can grab it. It doesn't cost you much, man. It really it's like if you have an S-Class or a BMW 3 Series or an AT&T phone bill or your car note, like your car insurance. It's not that much money to buy land.
Right. I think a lot of times too, with a lot of this stuff too, I think it's that we're not educated, or we're not asking the right questions, or we're not looking in the right places, because like you said, if you're looking at pretty much a car note or a little bit more than a car note, right? You got some of these brothers in these neighborhoods that are, they running around the neighborhood in an apartment, but they driving, a 5 Series BMW. When if they were looking in the right direction, they could be starting to work on generational wealth. But we're not. It just doesn't seem like we're taught that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like even that's why this conversation is so important to me when I talk to you about having this, because I don't think that we know about these things. Like, and is this information, is it hard to get out there? Is it just, or are we just not, we're not looking in the right places?
I don't want to say we're not looking into it. I think, and this is just my coming across life. I feel like the generation before us and our predecessors, the 2 generations before us, they paved the way through their sweat equity to make sure that we can actually have this type of knowledge to to do like, you know, the Will Smith from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air analogy, like skating with one skate. Right now, I don't feel like we're skating with one skate anymore. Like we're inside. Like we're in the building at the table, have our coffee, our tea, our food, and we're amongst the big boys and girls. So I feel like the two generations prior to us, they paved the way for us to be in the position that we're in. So we have to thank them for that, because they dealt with all the redlining, they dealt with all of the backlash and the civil unjust in a much broader scale than what we're dealing with in our current time space in 2020.
Right.
So this information available 100%. Google's our friend. Everybody got a phone in their pocket. It's easy. And one thing that I always tend to do is, like I mentioned earlier and I alluded to earlier in the conversation is, again, everyone should have a 5 horsemen: a banker, an accountant, a financial advisor, a lawyer, and an insurance representative. You get those in play, you're basically setting up the root of your tree and the foundation of your house or whatever plan that you're going to go to move forward, and you're going to succeed and kill it. And it really only takes 2 years to get right.
Right.
The first year, you're going to struggle a little bit. Your second year, you're going to be on cruise control. You're making some money and you're making some changes.
That's a quick turnaround too. Like, to be honest, I mean, within 2 years, if you can get some profit, like, that's amazing.
It's not rocket science, man. If you got a solid group of people, you can figure it out. Stick to the plan. Again, you're not questioning anyone's moral compass. It is attainable. I'm speaking from personal experience. It is 100% obtainable.
Right. But I mean, I think one of the good points you make too is you have to be straight up about, and you have to be about your business too. And that part you have to be clear on. And, I think you have to be clear on that from the beginning too, because it is a space that it can get muddy. It can get confusing, I think, really, really quick. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I know something about it, but some of the questions that I asked you today, I wanted to really ask them from an aspect as someone who knows nothing about the space, because I think there's a lot of great information, even though this is not even this is not even deep into the conversation as we can go, but it is information that people that are thinking about. Because, I know a lot of people who just spend a good amount of money just wanting to smoke, right? And then they talk about things like these ideas about, and they be schooling me on different strands and this, that, and the other. And I'll look at them and I'll go, why you never thought about going into a business now? Because this thing it's becoming a legal business. And if you're early and you know all this stuff, you could be, like you said, you could be working on getting your infrastructure right now and getting your 5 horsemen, in place to be ready or already be ahead, because that way, by the time it is maybe legal in a state that it's not legal in, or you could be looking going, you know what? I like this target market over here. Maybe, saying, yeah, it's cool. I've been going to these clubs here in Florida, but I see something about to happen over there. That to me is the problem that I'm having with some of the people that talk to me. And that's why, like I said, this conversation was super important to me to learn something, because I think a lot of us, we're not doing that. But then we're complaining about what we don't have. You know what I'm saying? But we're not forward thinking. We're not going, you know what? I do. Because I like you be in the barbershop, Bill, and these dudes are talking and you be like, they really know some stuff, but they're not applying that knowledge like you're doing to take those steps and go, you know what, man, let me get in a room with a couple of good lawyers and really talk and see, what the next steps I might need to be doing to maybe get myself into this space and really be feeding my family with this space. I mean, I know what I'm hanging out in it, and I that's why I'm curious about the information, how hard it is to get out there, because it just seems like to me that a lot of us are missing, the information, and I don't know if we're looking in the wrong place.
We're just not asking the question. We're really for sure, it's just not knowing to ask the question. But we got the answers.
I'm a firm believer in just passing on information if somebody can understand the caliber of the conversation. And it's cool. Like you said, the barbershop analogy, everybody in the barbershop, we all go there. It's the cornerstone of the community. Everybody go there. You get your game. You pick up some lingo, it's some terminologies, and you bring it back home, and you continuously practice that. The same could be applied with information. So, again, anybody could do anything that they want to do. And that's just an easy fact. You apply your mind to it. You have the plan. You work the plan. It's that simple. It's really not rocket science. I'm not a rocket science kind of person. I just knew to do something. I was having some roadblocks. I figured some shit out. I partnered with some people because I knew I was going to do it by myself. And here I am 5 years later. So it's all obtainable, man. So if you ask the questions, if you're bold enough to ask the questions to say F it, and keep moving forward, that's really just the nature of the game, because I'm going to just keep it a buck. or two versions of what everybody's saying right now. Like, I'm not gonna have the same conversation I had with somebody a year ago now. Like, I'm on a different level.
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna have the conversation I had or be around the same type of people if they're not moving forward a year from now, because it doesn't make sense. Like, I could be cordial and cool with them, but I'm not gonna give them enough of my time because I know I got something else that I could do with my time, like being a father, being a husband, being a small business owner. I'd rather just utilize it and move forward and think of what's next. Because it took a lot of time for me to plan to want to get into the cannabis space, as strategic planning. So once I did that and I started implementing my strategic plans, nigga, it was easy at that point because I had a battery in my. I knew what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I wasn't going to have to stop me from doing what I wanted to do. I took some hits and licks on my journey, but that's just like anything. That's like somebody going to play ball and want to be in the championship. You're going to get bruised up a little bit. Just put some ice, heal up, and do it again tomorrow.
Right.
Have a little champagne, maybe some wine, forget about it, you know? Maybe smoke a little Cheyenne.
Brittany, everything cannot be a look, man. Bill, before I let you get out of here.
I don't even smoke. I own a cannabis company and I haven't tried any of my products.
Now look at that. Boom. See, Brittany, I could be in the cannabis business. You ain't even understand. I could be in the cannabis business.
It's all a business.
You ain't even understand.
What?
You ain't even understand.
Like,
that is crazy. That's blowing my mind.
Cannabis. Nah, it's a business. Like there's so much, because if I start smoking my own stuff, then I'm gonna start yielding a loss of return. Like if a dispensary ordered 10 pounds and I'm like, damn, I need something to hold me over for the next 2 weeks, then I know I'm gonna have like 1.5 pounds for the next 2 weeks. That's money that I'm not using to feed my family. So now I'm good.
I mean, I guess. Look, I just feel like.
I hear you. I'm not disappointed, but I hear you. But it's a business, though. Just like any other business.
I know Brittany is right here with this question.
As long as you always carry it with you, then I'm cool with it. Look, it's like,
Brittany, let me ask the question that's right there, because I know this question is right there.
What?
Bill, if you don't partake, how are you able to understand the strands, or how you want to, I'm saying, like what's good for your business and how you want to do it? Because that I'm sure Brittany being a smoker, because I don't smoke, you know what I'm saying? So again, and you've let us know that you don't partake. So how are you able to move around, that space and understand, what I'm saying, what strands you want to do, or, what strands are working? How are you able to maneuver around that space, being that you don't partake?
2-part answer. 1, I hire very smart people around me.
Boom.
And 2, I hire people who smoke cannabis religiously and rigorously to let them know, like, if this is hitting or not. Like, I'm here at my facility, my cultivation facility now, right?
Uh-huh.
And I have 110 pounds of Gorilla Glue that's coming out. So with my GG, I'm like, all right, well, take this batch that I just, finished curing. And what I mean by curing is you take the trees out of the cultivation room, you hang it upside down for about 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks. It dries to its purest form. You put it in the bag, you flip that upside down for a few days, and then the cannabis is ready to smoke. So I had somebody try that out, and they said it was good. If it wasn't good, I would have to let it cure for a few more days and let that process naturally. So I just hire people who are, you know what I'm saying? I hire people who are around me. And that's really just that's like in any business. Like, imagine if I was an alcoholic and I ran a beverage company.
Right.
I'm not going to drink, because if I'm an alcoholic, I'm gonna get fucked up. So I'm gonna just hire people who drink, and they can take care of that part of the business for me, and I stay in my lane, and I take care of mine.
It's working for you, so I'm with it.
That is the business right there. The company is called HItit Company, right, Bill? Am I correct? The company is called HItit Company. We are.
And my Instagram is HItit LA, HITITLA, and we're selling it in over 40 dispensaries in the state of California and multiple delivery services.
You see, this man,
I'm following it.
This man understands marketing. He understands everything. And I was just about to ask him how they can, find out more information about what he got going on, and immediately he's already ready, man. Yo, as always, Bill, I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the time. And there's plenty of more things that I want to talk to you about. So as always, please keep your phone line open for me, because I will want to talk to you again soon. As a matter of fact, I'm so like into what you got going on that I'm trying to find a way that at some point, Brittany, myself, or maybe both of us at the same time, we're on the road, come out there and hang out with you and create some content that people can actually view of us.
Yes. I want to run through the field.
Of course, she's way excited. I want to come out there and get a real up close look at it.
You're more than welcome. And Brittany, there's no field. It's just, rows and rows of cannabis. Rows and rows.
That's all I need.
Oh my God, you got some of the footage. If you want to post it, you're more than welcome to.
Oh, definitely.
That was today. And I'm always here to help. I appreciate the reach out, the humble gesture for saying, hey, can you just come on my show? And yeah, if there's anything else I can do for you, my guy, I got your back.
I appreciate it, man. Again, the Instagram again is what? Give it to him one more time.
It's HItit LA. HItit LA.
Okay, and you probably see immediately Brittany's already going to follow just so she can see what's going on. But again, man, I appreciate you, man. And now Brittany, we've learned a little bit more about the cannabis space.
We really did, man. Now I'm not just gonna, smoke it. I'm gonna really start thinking about the other side of that. I probably won't. But I really do thank you because that was so helpful. It helped me.
Bill, do you see what I deal with every week? This is what I deal with every single week. This is what I deal with. I'm really here to learn some things, and she is. I guarantee you, dude. Like when we finish with this, her first call to me is, "When can we go to LA? When can we go to LA?" And that's it. But I'm excited though, because like I said, I mean, we've been friends for a long time, man, and I definitely want to come out there and see what you got going on because I'm all about being up close and personal, man. And even though I'm like you, I don't partake. The whole operation and the science behind it and where it's going and just like I said, 'cause I've started to do a little bit of research myself, and like I said, when I heard when the people I were talking to were telling me about how important having the land was, as well with where they're trying to go, I think that right there is a simple step that we get beat on a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Like we forget like how important having actual assets are when it comes to doing anything, man. And I thank you for, providing some knowledge on all of that, man. Any closing thoughts before we let you go, since we've held up a bunch of your time today?
Yes, I would say if anyone's interested, even if they live in a different state, but they want to get licensed in another state, that's an easier process to do as well. Like I just have a delivery license, got approved to have a delivery license in Massachusetts because I see that marketplace is enhancing and it's growing. So what I can say in closing thoughts, if you think that this is a business lane for you to do, it's, you want to get you and your family to do it, get some community pooling, some ethnic pooling in there, pull your money together, put your money where your mouth is, and then just go for it. It's the same as if you were to purchase real estate, the same as you want to do anything else. It's obtainable. I'm doing it. I have relatives that are doing it. There's a black woman in the state of Maryland. Her name is Hope Wiseman. She owns a dispensary called Marion, Maine. She was the youngest African-American woman in the state, in the country to have a dispensary. She got a license at 25. Wow. So, everybody, we all connect with each other. There's a small community of us minorities who are in the cannabis ownership space. So, we're all here to help each other. Each one teach one. Whatever I can do to help out, whatever any one of my colleagues can do, we will for sure help out as well. And just pass me a shout. I'm here to help.
Dude, my guy, Billy Allonce, Chief Marketing Officer at HItit Company. It's located in LA, but if you know anything about this dude, like I do, we're probably going to be talking about this in a few different spaces in the years to come because he moves like that, man. I appreciate you, man, for hanging out with us here at the DJ Ekin podcast. Well, we going some places, and not because Brittany has a dope hairdo every week, but we going places, I swear. Brittany, where can they find you at on social media before we get out of here?
Follow me at Brunch with Brittany everywhere. On Instagram, I'm on TikTok. Follow me. Really,
that they needed to know you were on TikTok. Man, I'm gone, man. For my entire family, man, I am DJ Ekin. Of course, DJ Ekin across everything. And of course, shouts out to Radio Influence. And you can find the podcast wherever you get your podcast fix. I think I'm getting that statement right finally too, Brittany. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you look for the DJ Ekin podcast at, you can find it. All right. And Bill, I'm definitely gonna get some of your stuff up on Instagram because I think that they should see what I'm seeing because those that partake, I think, will definitely enjoy the images that you sent me, man. And again, I appreciate you being here, man. And as soon as I get to LA, you're one of my first calls.
Lit.
All right, just pass me a shout. I'm here to help. I'm here. I'll be your tour guide.
All right, my dude, man. Talk to you soon, man. We gone.